Who are some of the worst people we need to kick out of society? Let's find out, starting with number 6, Jailhouse Bed Rock. UK resident Linda De Sousa Abreu, a 31-year-old former prison officer, heavy emphasis on former, wound up at the center of a major scandal. Abreu, originally from Brazil, had already made headlines for her provocative lifestyle. Alongside her husband, Nathan Richardson, she was on a reality TV show where couples explored consensual non-monogamy in a luxury country setting. Their controversial appearances on TV and their racy content on OnlyFans under the alias Linda La Madra were already getting attention. However, that attention took a turn when a video surfaced showing Linda engaging in explicit activities with an inmate at HMP Wandsworth, a prison in London. The footage, videoed on a smuggled-in mobile phone, showed Linda in full uniform performing acts with the inmate while his cellmate recorded the scene. The video spread across social media, showed a TV and piles of clothes in the cramped cell, creating a weird backdrop that didn't exactly hide where they were. The video's release led to immediate action from authorities. Abreu was arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office and taken into police custody. The investigation revealed that she had resigned from her position at the prison, probably because she knew that her secret life was about to get exposed. The case brought additional scrutiny to HMP Wandsworth, a prison already under the microscope for various other issues. Reports had been made about problems with overcrowding, high levels of contraband, and inadequate conditions for inmates and staff. Abreu's actions only added fuel to the fire, with critics calling for sweeping reforms to address the systemic issues within the prison. To make matters a little worse, it was revealed that Abreu's partner in the explicit video, Linton Weir, was serving time for a significant theft. Linton had been incarcerated for stealing over $82,000 worth of luxury goods from an apartment. His girlfriend, who was 7 months pregnant at the time, faced a crazy amount of stress and health risks due to the public fallout from the video, something obviously very bad for the baby. Abreu's sister, Adriana, also shared her disappointment and frustration. She had warned Abreu not to mix her personal lifestyle with her professional duties because she knew, just like everyone else with a brain, that this was a bad idea. Adriana expressed her concern over the impact on their family and criticized Abreu's choices, believing they had led her down a destructive path. Making a video like that was such a weird and needless thing to do. She was already on TV and able to promote her OF, so pulling a stunt like this seems like there's a whole lot more risk than reward, you know? And considering her open relationship, it probably wouldn't have been difficult to just pretend like she was in a prison. But now she's got a bunch of legal drama and some consequences because she couldn't take her serious job seriously. We're not actually saying she got a job in a prison just to do this, but doesn't it seem like she actually got a job in the prison just to do this? Number 5. Finger licking good. Deriance Ra'Shaiel Hughes, 29, from Tennessee, was sentenced to 4 years in prison for his role in this story. Hughes, a former Popeyes employee, was involved in a confrontation outside a restaurant that went viral. In the video, Hughes was seen going after 55-year-old Deborah Staggs in the parking lot, and the whole thing started over an argument inside the fast food restaurant over a billing issue, which is just insane. Apparently, Hughes went after Staggs outside over the billing issue and caused some pretty serious injuries that left her with broken bones that required surgery. Following the incident, Hughes was arrested and released on a $20,000 bond. According to some witnesses, apparently Staggs had used some racial slurs during the argument inside the restaurant after being overcharged. Of course, Staggs' attorney denied these allegations, claiming she returned to Popeyes to address the overcharge and was met with hostility. Popeyes' corporate office condemned Hughes' actions as contrary to their standards, which would be weird if their standards allowed for this type of thing. Why do corporations always say that? Anyway, they also said that the franchisee had terminated Hughes following the incident, which was probably a good move. Staggs' injuries required extensive medical attention, and her recovery was pretty difficult due to her age. The incident had drawn quite a lot of public attention due to the viral video and the severity of the injuries, and got Popeyes a little more negative attention. Remember the whole sandwich thing? Like, they were good, but that whole situation got way out of control. Anyway, the case ultimately ended up going to a grand jury where Hughes, Staggs, and another individual, Jateka Miller, faced charges. Miller's case was dismissed after she completed an anger management course, but Staggs' case was scheduled for a jury trial where he ended up 4 years in prison. No doubt what Hughes did to a 55-year-old woman is inexcusable, and he 100% got what he deserved. That dude needed to control himself much better than he did if he was going to be working in the service industry. Because, as many of you know, that sort of thing is going to happen. We're not saying he should be okay with it, but working with the public means you're going to be dealing with rude idiots. However, if Staggs did use those slurs, she's been on Earth long enough to know better. There's freedom of speech, of course, but not freedom from consequences of speech. Number 4. Your worst fears about food delivery drivers are true. An apparently hungry delivery driver in Brooklyn got caught on camera snacking on a customer's pizza toppings. The security footage, shared widely online, showed the driver in an elevator helping himself to the pizza he was supposed to deliver. In Brooklyn, a security camera inside an elevator captured a delivery driver taking toppings from a Papa John's pizza while on his way to a customer's apartment. The footage showed the driver pressing the floor button, opening the pizza box, and snacking on the meat and veggie toppings. He then struggles to close the box properly, probably panicking as he was approaching his floor. This incident was shared online by a security guard and quickly went viral, racking up hundreds of thousands of views. The clip apparently confirmed what we all just assume sometimes happens with food delivery. You just know you've had some missing fries before, right? Like, you can just tell that some are gone. Anyway, one TikTok user commented that was exactly why they didn't order delivery. Many viewers also agreed that pizza boxes should be sealed to prevent tampering. Like, a dedicated snack thief is going to see that sticker and be like, the driver who wore a helmet and didn't appear to be in a Papa John's uniform seemed to be working for a third-party delivery service like DoorDash or Uber Eats. Viewers were particularly disgusted that the driver used the same hand to hold his keys while eating the toppings, with the dirty chain dangling over the food, making him snacking on it that much worse. Luckily, a vigilant neighbor who happened to see the driver munching on toppings immediately told the customer, preventing her from ever touching the pizza. We've all wondered if this happens a lot though, right? We've known quite a few delivery drivers in our day, and as far as we know, none of them have ever dipped into the food that they were delivering. Like, maybe they were lying, but it didn't seem like it. Have you ever done delivery driving? Have you ever shared fries with the customer without them knowing? Tell us in the comments below. We promise we won't tell. But seriously, cut that out. Number 3, the blackmailing cop. Detective Constable Gareth Suffling from the UK was sentenced to 3 years for blackmailing a man who visited a lady of the night. This case began when a man found an envelope with photos of himself leaving a motorhome and a note demanding $1,300 or his family would be told about what he was up to. The note signed Light Justice detailed his encounter with the woman and demanded immediate payment, keep silent. So the man went to the police, starting an investigation that led to an unexpected revelation. The man behind the blackmail was a cop. Detective Chief Inspector Jerry Waite and his team were put on the case. They planned a sting operation, convincing the victim to plant the money at a designated drop-off location while surveillance monitored the scene. Strangely, the money wasn't picked up, leading investigators to focus on the woman, Kyrie, and her business partner, Ian. Both denied any involvement in the blackmail case, and the police believed them. And with no immediate leads, the investigation seemed to go cold. But then Waite's team continued to dig deeper, suspecting an insider might be involved. Gareth Suffling, who actually happened to be assigned to his own case, suddenly became the prime suspect. During the sting operation, surveillance footage revealed several bits of odd behavior by Suffling. While monitoring the drop-off point for the blackmail money, Suffling was seen constantly checking his phone and drinking a ton of water, things that would draw the attention of people who are trained to notice that sort of thing. Like, those types of behaviors are normal for teenage girls and guilty criminals. We'll let you draw the comparison. Anyway, Suffling was also seen exhibiting nervous behavior and making repeated unnecessary trips to the bathroom. So Waite ordered his arrest. In an emotional moment captured on camera, Suffling was arrested and broke down in tears. The evidence mounted against him, including pictures of the victim found in Suffling's home and a torn-up copy of the demand letter. Suffling claimed he intended to help the vulnerable woman, but searches on his phone for easy money and how to make crime pay made it sound like he was less interested in helping her and more interested in helping himself. Seriously, what a weird thing to search for as a cop. And we're not master criminals here, but he seriously didn't know how to exploit his position? Like, he had to look that up? Anyway, Suffling was charged with blackmail and misconduct in a public office. He pleaded guilty and was initially sentenced to 18 months, later increased to 3 years on appeal, since his own department felt like that was a bit soft. His colleagues were shocked, as Suffling had recently received a commendation for his work on a high-profile case. The thing is, we don't really care that some dude was getting blackmailed for cheating on his wife with a lady of the night. Sleeping with the dogs means you wake up with the fleas. So it's kind of hard to sympathize with someone that's getting blackmailed for being shady. Law enforcement is a tough and very necessary job, and police are under a lot of scrutiny. So when dirty cops get caught, they make that job even harder and deserve to be punished to the fullest extent of the law. Number 2. Don't mess with a Muay Thai girl. Chainarong Marijan, a 35-year-old from Thailand, got some instant karma after behaving like an idiot. One night, after some partying, Chainarong and his friends stopped at a street restaurant. Chainarong noticed Perploy Saia, a 25-year-old woman, and decided he was going to shoot his shot by clinking his glass with hers and asking for her phone number. When Perploy said thanks, but no thanks, Chainarong responded like a baby, dumping his beer on her head. But there was a critical fact that Chainarong was unaware of. Perploy had been a Muay Thai boxer since she was 13, with a record of 40 wins out of 50 fights. And if you're unaware, carrying a record like that in Thailand is very different than carrying a record like that in the US. The competition is far tougher there than it is here, so this chick is tough. Perploy immediately stood up and challenged Chainarong, shouting, "Fight me if you're so tough." Realizing his mistake, Chainarong tried to leave the scene quickly, heading for his moped. However, Perploy wasn't about to let him off the hook so easily. She followed him outside, letting him know exactly what she thought of him with a few well-placed kicks. Which again, if you've ever experienced a Muay Thai kick, you know that they're no joke, especially if you've never dealt with them before. Perploy's friends rushed out to hold her back, but not before she landed a solid punch. Chainarong, embarrassed and injured, walked away as the crowd looked on. The incident, caught on CCTV, went viral. The local police got involved and fined both individuals. Chainarong was fined for pouring the beer and for the subsequent affray, while Perploy was fined for her role in the conflict. Both paid their fines and apologized to each other at the police station. Despite accepting the fine, Perploy voiced her frustration over being penalized for defending herself. She felt that nobody has the right to humiliate others and advocated for self-defense training for women. Perploy has since retired from professional fighting and now coaches other women in Muay Thai. Chainarong, on the other hand, lost his job at a prestigious hotel as a result of the incident. He expressed regret and apologized for his actions, which had caused the entire confrontation. We don't particularly agree with getting physical as a response, except in certain specific situations. While Chainarong was way out of line, he was clearly no danger to Perploy. She didn't need to go follow him to protect herself, you know? The incident was done and no one was hurt. That said, it doesn't sound like Chainarong got any more than he deserved, but in this specific case, we also don't really have a problem with Perploy stepping up and defending her self-respect and dignity. The dating world is hard and rejection is tough, but we all have to handle it and move on. Being weak and petty isn't attractive to anyone. If you're enjoying this video, be sure to stay tuned right here to find out why this guy switched up after winning the lottery. Number 1. A man in fiancé. Christy Swadling, a 27-year-old fitness influencer, got herself a pretty hefty dose of mocking for a notable spelling error while promoting a fashion brand. In a video on her Instagram, she advertised a sale at the activewear store Keep That Pump. However, her followers were fixated on one glaring mistake. Following a TikTok trend, Christy held up a piece of cardboard declaring she was looking for a man in finance. Unfortunately, she misspelled finance as fiancé, drawing immediate reactions from her audience. One follower commented that it baffled them that she not only misspelled it fiancé, but also retraced over it multiple times and still didn't realize. Others echoed that sentiment, with another saying that finance isn't a tricky word and that it's spelled how it sounds, and it's not even like the words sound the same. The comments ranged from confusion to mockery, with users posting the word fiancé followed by laughing emojis. Despite Christie's request to ignore the mistake, the blunder had already gone viral, and the internet will ignore nothing, especially glaring spelling errors. Just days prior, Christie's fans also voiced concerns about her noticeably changing voice. Known for overcoming an eating disorder and advocating for a healthy lifestyle, Christie's voice had deepened significantly over 5 years, raising questions among her followers. The influencer watchdog account @before.after_influencers pointed out this change by posting videos from April 2019 and March 2024. The difference in her voice was pretty big, with the later video showing a more hoarse and deep tone. Fans speculated about the reasons behind this transformation, with some suggesting natural aging, while others wondered about potential health issues. Influencers are helpful to businesses in selling products and to consumers for unbiased, helpful reviews and information. But obviously, there are plenty of annoying, whiny influencers out there. Many of them seem like a bunch of attention-seeking crybabies who think they're more important than they actually are, and many of them will do anything for views. If you've ever dealt with influencers in person, you know how insanely obnoxious they are. Are we right, Chipotle workers? What are some of the ways the biggest lottery winners spend their money? Let's dig in. Number 4, Colin Weir. Despite winning over $250 million in one of the biggest payouts in European lottery history, Colin Weir managed to spend almost all of it before he passed away. It takes a lot of doing to spend that much money in less than a decade, but it was work that Colin was ready to do. Colin won the jackpot in 2011, and at the time it was the largest amount handed out by the European Lottery Commission. After the win, Colin, who was at the time married to his wife Christine, almost immediately purchased a huge $5.75 million mansion. They then spent millions renovating the home. In 2018, the couple divorced, and Christine left with half of the lottery winnings, which left Colin with only $80 million, like some sort of pauper. One would expect Colin to be able to live on this money and not almost exhaust it in just a year, but Colin exhausted almost all of it in just a year. In the last years of his life, Colin made a series of investments and purchases that almost removed him from millionaire status. First, he bought cars, some of which include a Jaguar F-Pace SUV and a vintage Bentley Arnage. But that wasn't all. Before the divorce, Colin had made several large investments in ventures that didn't exactly provide great returns. For one, he invested heavily in the failed SNP independence referendum campaign. He also purchased several thoroughbred horses for thousands of dollars and set up a charity as well. He also bought a 55% share in a Glasgow soccer team. Eventually, Colin handed over the ownership of the team to the fans, but that was after he had used his winnings to wipe out the debt of the club. All in all, Colin was spending an average of $131,000 per week on luxury items. By the time Colin died from acute kidney injury and sepsis in 2019, he had whittled down his original winnings to roughly $30 million. But all his spending wasn't for naught. After his passing, the Scottish First Minister Nicola Sturgeon had glowing words to say about his contribution to the cause of Scottish independence. Number 3, Adrien Bayford. Adrien Bayford and his ex-wife Gillian believed that all their prayers had been answered when they won £148 million from the Euro Millions lottery. Then the couple divorced barely 2 years later. After the divorce, Adrien decided to find another life partner, and his eyes settled on Samantha Burbridge. Samantha was the head groomer of a horse stable, and Adrien was completely smitten with her, despite her spending a massive amount of time around horses. We don't know what it is about her. Maybe it was the smell of hay or the obsession with brushing things. We're not sure, but there was something, and Adrien liked it. It was probably their mutually deep connections. Within 2 weeks, Adrien had flown her to Maldives and proposed. Burbridge surprisingly accepted the millionaire's proposal, and everything looked like it was going to be a love story for the age. Well, we can take that story out of the romance section and refile it in the stories with a predictable twist section, right next to the Sixth Sense. Anyway, when Samantha returned to Adrien's mansion in England, she discovered how lonely she was. She had access to all the money she could ever want, but somehow couldn't figure out how to use it to buy happiness. Like that's hard or something. Adrien also showered her with incredible gifts. He bought her around 30 horses and even 2 engagement rings. Samantha had misplaced the first ring, and Adrien immediately had it replaced with a smaller one because Adrien isn't great at reading things like obvious signs. He also bought a £2 million equestrian center in Swaffham, Norfolk, paid the stable staff Samantha hired, and also gave her a monthly allowance. You'd think simply buying someone's affection would be enough to replace real emotions and lead to a long, stable marriage. Despite spending generously on his fiancée, Adrien had no love for horses. This meant that Samantha was quite lonely and often even had to go to horse shows by herself. And the large mansion that Adrien lived in, well, it was just too big for her. And to make matters worse, Adrien wasn't home that much since he traveled often to see his children, who now lived with his ex-wife in Scotland. Good dads can be so annoying. In the end, Samantha realized what everyone hearing this story instantly knew. She married Adrien for the money, but that would never be enough. Adrien spent loads on her, but she did not love him. So she left, and she made sure she took her horses and a Mercedes he had bought for her. Because of course she did. After leaving Adrien, Samantha went off to start a new relationship with her ex-boyfriend, Alan Sucking, a divorced father of 4. She must have thought Alan was super hot or more tolerable or something, because unlike Adrien, who has millions of pounds in the bank, Alan has exactly 0. According to his friends, Alan has no money and lives with his mother. Oof. However, Adrien probably wasn't too broken up about his loss of Samantha, as he never originally intended to propose to Samantha. Before Adrien even met Samantha, he had met Marta Jaros, a woman who worked as a bouncer at a pub, but like a nice pub, where most of the TVs were. Adrien told her about his lottery win, then he hired her as a bodyguard, personal assistant, and chauffeur. Lex Luthor style, right? That might have been a bit of a reach, Adrien. You had to know that. According to Marta, Adrien had always wanted to have a romantic relationship with her, but she refused. In fact, while away in the Maldives, trying to propose to Samantha, Adrien was still trying to convince Marta to marry him, but Marta didn't care. Seriously. 3 women don't care how much money this guy has. They don't even want to pretend to like him. Days after Adrien got engaged, he decided that she was no longer in need of a bodyguard, limo driver, assistant, and fired her. Samantha, the woman Adrien was on the trip with, either didn't know or didn't care that she was the second pick. We have a feeling she didn't care since she made sure she took amazing pictures of herself on the trip, and none of them featured her new fiance. Unfortunately for Adrien, his bad luck with women didn't just start and end with Samantha or Marta. He was also reportedly dumped by former Frankie and Benny's waitress, Lisa Kemp. His bad luck didn't even just end in romantic relationships. He's also fallen out with friends. Even his old pub isn't a source of comfort anymore. He's fallen out with the staff of the establishment and now hardly steps a foot in. But that doesn't mean our good old lottery winner is done spending his money. In fact, he recently purchased 2 mansions in Scotland. However, those mansions were likely for him to be able to live closer to his ex-wife and their children. They're also probably haunted. That's just our guess, but look at those are haunted, like The Shining. Adrien's also been making business decisions too, such as the decision to rent out a part of his estate for Airbnb. Problem though is that the Airbnb doesn't even earn enough money to even cover the interest payments from Adrien's lottery win. So it's kind of pointless, but perhaps that's the sort of thing you do when you have millions of dollars and still get dumped. Number 2. Peter Congdon. On the day Peter Congdon won over £13 million to the lottery, he believed he'd won £25. But he won more. That day, 3 separate people told him he would be lucky, and he believed that this meant he would win something. He didn't know it was going to be the jackpot. It wasn't until the numbers were announced that he realized that he hadn't won £25, but £13.5 million. Once it was confirmed that he had won the jackpot, he did the most British thing ever. He made himself a cup of tea. Because why not? It's not like he was allowed to display any sort of emotion. Now that Peter has won the lottery, his life has changed considerably for the better, which is good to hear. For one, Peter has spent over £500,000 on cars for himself and family members. Some of the cars he bought included BMWs, Land Rovers, a Porsche, and a Bentley. Nowadays, he loans the vehicle out to local kids who want to use it for prom because he's a good dude. He has also paid off the mortgage of his 3 children. Sadly, Peter's late wife wasn't able to enjoy the wealth he came into. To make up for that, he's decided to donate quite generously to the Merlin MS Center, where his wife was cared for before she passed on. Peter also asked the people who borrow his vehicles to donate to the center as payment. He also purchased a hydrotherapy pool for the center that cost over $1 million. It'll be of great use to the people that suffer from conditions such as Parkinson's disease. Because seriously, he sounds like a good dude. Now that Peter's a millionaire, the life of his family has changed a lot. His children now drive Range Rovers, which is a big change from the cars they had before, because some of them were working at McDonald's before their dad won the lottery. If you're enjoying this video, be sure to check out our past release to learn the exact details on why you actually would not want to win the lottery. Number 1. Edwin Castro. Edwin Castro won over $2 billion through the Powerball lottery, making him the winner with the highest prize in the lottery's history. Once the winning numbers were declared, it was announced that only one winning ticket had been sold, and that winner was Castro. Edwin had the chance to either take a lump sum or payments, and he wisely went for the lump sum. The lump sum prize was around $900 million, but that wasn't what Castro would eventually walk away with. He also had to pay federal taxes, and that shaved off around a third of the money. California, shockingly, doesn't charge taxes on lottery winnings like they do on literally everything else, so he didn't have to pay state taxes on his winning. This left Castro with $627.6 million as his total win, which sounds really weird when you think about how he won over $2 billion. It's not that he didn't walk away with generational wealth, but the government who gave it out took almost 75% of it back. How does that work? Our man Edwin didn't waste any time at all spending his money. Just 120 days after his win, he purchased a $25 million 13,000 square foot mansion with 5 rooms and bathrooms. A few days after that, he purchased another mansion. Like the first house, this one also has 5 bedrooms and 5 bathrooms. The home was built in 1953 and includes a manicured courtyard and a private oasis at the center. He also purchased a $250,000 vintage Porsche vehicle. Unlike many other lottery winners, Edwin has wisely remained quiet. Why advertise that you just won millions? He has never given an interview, and the only thing we know about him is the statement he sent over to the Lottery Commission after he was announced as a winner. In the statement, he said that the real winner of the lottery was the California public school system, which the lottery funds. We know he probably meant it, but it sounds fake, doesn't it? Like, who needs $650 million when you're already rich in your heart? Come on. However, Edwin's lottery prize isn't without some controversy. A lawsuit has been filed by someone named Jose Rivera, claiming that the lottery win is rightfully his, not Edwin. No one really knows the merit of the case yet, but for the time being, Edwin Castro remains the beneficiary of the lottery as of the release of this video. And he's spending like. Click to watch one of these next videos. Let us know in the comments section what you'd rather have as a pet, a dog or a cat.